Hello and welcome to Mindset Kitchen. My name is Diana Paliokaiti and I have a wonderful guest with me today, Caroline Flanagan. We have career progression coach for Black lawyers. Hello, Caroline.
Hi, Diana. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming all this way from Hertfordshire, you said?
From Hertfordshire, yes, all the other side of London. It wasn't too far at all, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I was really looking forward to have a conversation with you because I did see you speak on the stage.
Yes.
And I was really impressed and I was really touched and I really felt what you said. And I thought, oh my God, she's my guest.
That's so
and there
amazing.
you go. It happened. I made it happen.
You made it happen. You know what I remember, because obviously that was the first time I'd met you. And actually I was speaking on the Sunday, and when, so I was on stage on the Sunday, we were chatting in the bar on the Saturday night.
Yeah.
You were supposed to go home, I think, weren't you?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, because you were one of the strong connections that I made that weekend, and I was thinking, oh, I really wish she could stay for my talk. And you stayed.
Something kept me staying, and I don't regret.
Me neither.
Because that's the reason you're sitting here, because I really saw so much. So, Caroline, can you just tell all of us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, of course. So I am, as you said, as you introduced me, the career progression coach for Black lawyers, which is like a not very fancy way of saying I work only with Black lawyers, and my goal, my aim, my passionate ambition is to see more Black lawyers enter the legal profession, more Black people enter the legal profession, but also to stay there and progress to the top. I've been very passionate about this specific community for the last 3 or 4 years now, because that's also where I see my greatest gifts and my experience, like aligning all of that with what is clearly a need still in a profession like the law, which is lacking in diversity. It's still not very inclusive, and there is not a lot of equality and that diversity at the top. So I want to change that.
And you experienced that because you were also a lawyer?
Yes, exactly. So first of all, I am clearly Black, and proudly so. So that is a connection point there. But yes, so I was a lawyer. I started life off as a lawyer in the city. And I did that for just under 10 years before leaving and finding, or being, coaching found me, but before starting off on my journey as a coach. And I've been coaching now for 17 years.
And you know what better way to coach if not from your own experience as well?
Yeah, I say this over and over again when people are inquiring about working with me, when they ask me, like, why so specific a niche? Why Black lawyers? Why career progression? And it's because it was my experience. So going into a very white profession and finding myself almost always the only person of color, the only Black person, sometimes the only woman in the room, often the only Black woman in the room. So that experience of being the only one is one I've known my whole life, but also in particular my whole career as a lawyer. So I really know how it feels to work in an environment like that can feel culturally very different. And I know how to succeed in that environment, and that's what I share, and what I do with my coaching is to teach others to do that too.
Caroline, if I may give you a compliment, you're clearly really ambitious. You are really strong, and you have there's humbleness and really lovely energy around you.
Thank
and
you.
I feel like that's when I met you, I felt it, because I knew you were extremely smart, really ambitious. You're having done all of those things, but at the same time, you have big heart and then desire and passion to help, and that interlinks with your experience and your intelligence. And I think that's a perfect combination. That's just a compliment.
Oh, thank you so much. I wasn't quite prepared to receive that.
Oh, sorry, it's not in the script. Sorry.
You didn't warn me about that. I appreciate that so much. It's you never quite know how you come across. Of course, you have feedback all the time, and it's never. I wouldn't ever say that I'm led by how I come across. I'm led by the passion. So I'm just really happy that you see that is coming through. And my ambition absolutely is an ambition for what I want the world to be more of, who I want to be in the world and what I want to see. So one of the things I say to my clients who, when I look at the struggles that this community have, and there's a lot of talk about I can't be who I can't see, and places like this, for example, somewhere like a law firm or the legal industry, places like this don't want people like me. These are the thoughts that people in my community, the community that I serve, it's often the thoughts that they have as a soundtrack to their lives. They feel like the circumstances are too hard. And one of the messages that I deliver really strongly, repeatedly, consistently, and I embody is that like you can be the change you want to see. I didn't originate that comment. That's something that's been around for a long time. And Obama, as part of his campaign for being president, talked about being the change we want to see. And for me, that sums up my ambition, both in terms of who I am and how I show up and being an example, but how I want to show my clients that they can be too. They can be the change. They don't have to wait for everything outside of them to change, for the conditions to be perfect and the world to be right. They can be that just by fulfilling their own potential, just by being willing to be the first in the room, which is what I talk about, is being the first. And that is very passion driven. So thank you very much for that compliment. If that's coming across, I'm delighted.
Exactly that, because I usually intentionally try to sense people energies. It's what I do. I choose even food from people energies, and I
really,
one day what you've written, and I was like feeling it. I think this is what she's going to like. It's only because when the energy is more or passion driven, heart driven, it radiates more, and then you sense more. If it's ego driven, you sense there's some sort of almost like disagreement with what the person does. It's my own thing.
Wow.
I do that, and I sense a lot, especially from the guests that I am drawn to invite to Mindset Kitchen. And what I appreciate you doing is you are black and I'm white, and many times if we don't talk about these things, and if we don't talk about what you feeling, what I'm feeling, and what people feeling in certain situations, and how they're experiencing in the workplace, in the world in general, because of where we come from, our race, we will not know. We will not even build the respect or understanding. So I think you're contributing to that area where you're creating that ripple effect and creating the giving information and creating knowledge for people, for everyone, not just in the black community or any other. It's sharing and making us understand more. And I think your approach will be because of your experience in the workplace, and obviously you working with black lawyers, but nevertheless it's going to be very impactful for everyone, no matter the color. That's how I view it.
Thank you. One of the things, and this speaks to your point about us, like the different communities or races or ethnicities or countries that we come from, and how diverse the world is. And for me, the word that you just summed up is connection. So how we can be so different and yet be connected. And as I was really like fine-tuning sounds like too technical a word to describe the constant questioning and exploring that brought me to this real clarity about how I can best serve this community. As I was exploring all of that, I had questions myself about whether I'm the right person to do this. Like, would my community, would black lawyers, black people see me as an example, as one that they would want to work with, as one who could help them to progress? And one of the things that's been a hallmark of my experience is that one of being the only black person and being in an environment that was dominantly white, because I've had that experience since the age of 5. So all through my childhood and through my career. And one of the conclusions I came to, which has been really powerful for me, is that means I've been able to be the bridge between those two worlds. So when you're talking about actually the importance of all of our differences and our diversity and being able to speak to each other and connect with each other, I think that's sort of how I see myself as a facilitator for that, because I have the experience. I've got like a foot in both worlds, and I can be that bridge. So I actually feel really excited and thrilled and thankful that you can see that and that you recognize that as well and want to share it with your your people, your community, which is why I'm here.
Definitely. I'm excited to listen to you because I want to learn. I want to understand more. It's so powerful when the curiosity, the desire to connect and understand, it comes from you and me together, because I could say, well, I understand. Well, no way. No way I understand. And I probably will never understand, but what I'll do, I will always do my best to understand, because there is so much you can do to understand one another is by actually just listening.
Yeah.
And to me, I hope the audience will listen and try to understand, because that's all we can do. We can't embody someone suddenly and exactly feel or experience what you've gone through.
Yeah.
But we can understand and meet halfway.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. So what I'm cooking for Caroline,
I can't wait.
It's almost all set out and so organized. Looks like I've just, nailed it here. But Caroline emailed me and said she loves fish, and she loves Mediterranean, so grains and kind of pulses and stuff like that. And obviously I thought, yes, you always look amazing. And I thought you chose such a lovely, delicious, not necessarily meal, but ingredients that kind of start singing straight away to me. Yes, 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 yes. So I'm going to cook one of my, I say Diana's bowl series, because I cook a lot of bowls. They're like salad, they're cold. They can be hot, but usually they're cold because they embody so many ingredients. If I was to make one singular meal, I would always think, oh, I need to add a bit more, and the dish becomes a little bit messy. But bowl series allows me to add so many different vegetables, and allows you to experience all the nutrients in one bowl. And that way, I think when I eat it, I feel really nourished. I feel light. My energy doesn't slump. I feel like I cleansed myself more than filled myself.
Yes.
So I think this is one of those meals. I'm making blackened miso salmon I've got black rice here.
Wow. Am I allowed to ooh and ah? Because everything you said sounds absolutely perfect. Thank you.
And I've got buckwheat here. And buckwheat, when you go to British supermarkets, you don't find this buckwheat. It's only from Eastern European shops. It's a toasted buckwheat. In British supermarkets, it's dried buckwheat, but it's not toasted version. So when you cook it, it goes a bit mushy. I tried it, I don't like it. So it's only Eastern European supermarkets you get this. But then I decided then to make you a cucumber salad, which will be a spring onion, cucumber, and coconut milk. So I've used the coconut, the fatty bit, and a bit of liquid to make the yogurt sauce, instead of using the actual yogurt or using sour cream or whatever. So this is keeping you still extremely healthy.
Wonderful.
And then there'll be some grilled vegetables in the air fryer, and then salmon will be going shortly in the air fryer. I'm going to quickly say what I've done to salmon fillets. So you can prepare this marinade, and I know, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't cook.
I cook. I prepare food for my children, but cook.
But it's
not so much.
It's
just to feed. Yeah.
So if I tell you,
yes,
I
am learning.
You're learning.
I'm learning. I promise
I'll send you the recipe if you
please.
do. But you can marinate a night before, 15 minutes before cooking. You can pan fry, air fry this. You can do whichever way. But it has red miso paste, couple of spoons, a quarter of a cup, soy sauce, garlic, honey, and lime juice. All it is. And you just marinate. I do that with tofu, with fish, with chicken. You can use this marinade for various. And you will see that so much kind of caramelly flavor. And it's the star of the salad itself. So you can put on any type of ingredients. Even these ingredients doesn't have to be there. It can be on white rice, brown rice. It can be on top of pasta with potatoes.
Okay.
It can be with anything, really. The star is here, and then whatever you have else in the fridge,
amazing.
Throw it in.
I want to learn that. Definitely.
I'll send you the recipe
after.
You. So before I start cooking this, I'm going to read the first message. The first message.
Yes.
You see there?
Perfect. I saw what you did there.
That Caroline brought. Be the first.
Yeah.
Tell me more about it.
So I still get goosebumps when I hear somebody say, be the first, when I think be the first. And as is increasingly happening, and then I'll explain what it's about, my children say, be the first, or they say, Mum, you're the first, or I'm the first. So what is this, be the first? It sounds really simple. Be the first is the call to action. My call to action to a Black individual. It can also apply to so many, as you said, different communities. But it's to the Black, let's say, woman who has worked really, really hard to get to a place of, I call it opportunity. It's a place of many things. But if you imagine my typical client would be a Black lawyer who has gone to university, has succeeded in, they have arrived into a law firm. And that law firm, they will have, like, they've achieved success at that level. They have overcome so many challenges. They've had to work twice as hard to get there. And what happens is they are there in this amazing environment, which they thought was like, all I need to do is just get here and it will all be okay. And what they realize, they look around and there is no one who looks like them. And their overwhelming thought is, I'm the only one in the room. And what happens with a thought like that, like when I think that, I feel small, I feel not enough, I feel insufficient, question myself, I go quiet, I withdraw. That feeling of I'm the only, it's very heavy. I don't know if you get that sense, Diana, if you think, oh, but I'm the only. It's a bit like if your kid comes home from school and says, but I'm the only one who doesn't have this, or I'm the only one who has brown skin. Like it's the opposite of empowering, it's the opposite of feeling good in your own skin. And so this is a thought that, and those feelings are what my clients are going into work, carrying into work every day in a very hard, very challenging, very demanding, competitive environment. And the standards are really high, the requirements are high, and they're trying to succeed in this world. But it's very hard to show up at your best, to perform to your potential and keep progressing when you're feeling you're the only one. And it's coming from all of these, and it's creating all of these kind of this self-doubt. So one of the things that I realized, having experienced that myself, like battling with that feeling, I'm the only one, just occurred to me as I really turned this around and like tried to understand what my experience was. Well, how have I managed to get this far then? And what is it that's still driving me? And how do I see myself? What am I thinking on those days when I am actually able to show up and feel that I can achieve whatever I set my mind to? So what is the like more empowered thought that represents the fact that there's no one else like me, but it makes me feel stronger. It makes me really realize how valuable I am. And it just came to me, I'm the first. I had the experience of being at a very fabulous like event at Claridge's, the hotel in London. It was like a black tie event, and I'd taken a Black friend of mine, and we were the only Black people in the room. There were some Black people there, but they were waiters, the ones serving the champagne. Very happy to be drinking the champagne today. Thank you very much, Diana. And she, my friend, said to me, why are we always the only ones? Only ones. And I could see physically what that did to her, how she felt in the room. And I said, we're not the only ones. We're the first. And how I felt when I said that compared to how she felt when she said and thought, I'm the only one, they were just complete opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the experience we both had in the room. And not only did I enjoy myself in the room more than she was able to, what I took away from that evening, how I was able to show up, how I was able to mingle, meet people who are different to me, how proudly I stood out because I'm the first, right? I totally lent into that identity. It was so different, and I could see that that was the key. That's the key. You don't need the room to change. We don't need to wait. We want the room to change and be more diverse, but we don't need to wait. We can be the first and already have everything we need to excel in a room, to speak to anybody, to have the confidence to feel valued in that room. So that is the very long answer to, but very important backstory to be the first. It's a call to action to recognize your value in the room and be, we talked about energy, like have the energy of that and bring that to the room and to every environment that you're in, and let go of the very heavy, very limited, very disempowering feelings and thoughts of being the only one.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I actually visualized you walking in the cloud just with your friend.
Really?
And I could see, it's almost like I needed like a sort of hologram or piano as you talk, because I saw you with your head held high, wearing beautiful dress and thinking, I am the first here, so I am going to nail this.
Yeah.
And then you can see your friend is feeling smaller, the shoulders, the facial expression, the body language, everything says that she's not feeling comfortable and she's thinking that way. And it's a beautiful story. It's a quick snapshot of one example where you could feel like that. And that visualization for me really makes me think of those perspectives. That's how we are, how we perceive everything.
Yes.
And to be able to shift and reframe, it's so important. But be the first is as you said, it doesn't just have to apply to your situation or Black people or Black lawyers, or it can apply into so many situations. And I think that's why you will be speaking to many more people than just Black community. Unfortunately, it's not gonna, you're going to tick so many more boxes, because you spoke to me when I heard you first time, because I've been loads of times why I'm the only one who doesn't have money and everyone here have money, because I don't have a dance partner and everyone have a dance partner and I'm the only one who doesn't. I am the only one here from East Europe and everyone is British, especially in the law firms where I went into various kind of experiences and stuff. So I do know that feeling, and my feeling was like your friend. I didn't have that, and I wish I knew then what you talk about, and I could just have related and think, you know what, I'm amazing. I'm the first. I'm leading the way. For the second, third, fourth, fifth. 100%. Right? So if I felt that way, I would feel more powerful than anyone else in there. And it's just that one little shift of that thought or perspective. It's powerful.
It's really powerful, isn't it? I'm constantly reminded of, astonished by like how powerful I see that shift when it happens with my clients. Just that one switch. And how one of my clients said in a session, that has literally changed my life, because it's as well as I'm the first, how do I then think about myself differently, how much I can value myself in the room. It also shows that you can apply that in so many different situations. As you said, like, even if it's not, I feel like the only one in the room and shifting to be the first, you could be in any situation and feel that the circumstances are either against you or it's too hard. But to have that skill, and this is what coaching does and why I'm so passionate about it and thrilled that I get to do this for a living. What coaching does is give you that, you always have that ability to switch, to change how you're thinking about a situation. And in changing it, like, completely flip your experience and who you are when you flip that experience. It's kind of like, it creates a world of possibility that was just not available for you before. And all that changed is your thought. And you are in control of your thought. We are in control of our thoughts. That for me is such a gift that every single one of us already has. And it's really just about, and I feel my job is to say, did you know that you could change your thoughts? And if you do, that this is what can happen. Like, it's that simple, but really powerful.
It is simple, but it's also about realizing it's simple and also allowing someone to step in and help you, because if you were to do this alone, it's really hard to see another perspective. If you allow the opportunity to actually give another perspective by someone else, and then you start seeing it, then it's that easy. But the first step is to kind of allow and be open, and that change will happen very quickly. When I feel like I had mentors and coaches, and to me, I can't imagine any other way. Because amazing. I can look in front of the mirror and speak to myself, but it doesn't answer, or it doesn't listen to me the way I want it to listen. It doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. It doesn't give me another perspective. So you can talk to yourself as much as you like. I think even the partners can't help you so much. Your friends will see it differently. Your friends will be trying to be kind, or mean, whatever friends you have. They will be trying to be kind to you, but the non-biased judgment stepped out of your entire environment where you live and work. That kind of view is priceless, because that's where the change can happen. So I can see why you're enjoying that. Because it's almost like little switch could be, and
yes,
people start realizing.
yeah, it's that switch analogy is really good. It's like you're in a dark room and you're in a dimly lit room and you're always seeing the same thing. Someone could say, there's a switch here. How about we turn it on?
Yeah.
But how did you, I'm really curious, how did you where did the decision to work with a mentor or a coach, if you say you've always done that, like, what is it for, what would you say to somebody who has never thought about that before? What was it that made you decide you're willing to ask for help and get somebody else's perspective?
I don't think I had anyone asking me a question, so thank you so much for asking. My first mentor was in my banking job.
Yeah.
And there was a program, and I felt like I was being stuck, and I didn't know where to go and what to do, but I knew I have potential. I knew I can do things better. I knew I'm smart. I just didn't know. And I felt like if I have a mentor, they will give me another view. And I went for this program and I was assigned a mentor. And I start talking, and then he starts seeing things in me I've never seen myself, in myself. Really, also, I am good. Yes, you're doing this really well. But did you notice, do you take credit for this and this that you've done? No. Well, you should be taking credit. And then suddenly I've realized how much little I can see within myself. And it's kind of like a one vision.
Yeah.
If you get different people you can trust, rely on, and you trust their voice, you hearing that and you growing.
Yeah.
It was like I'm growing.
How amazing.
And from now on, I feel like any thought or any idea, I want to speak to my mentor and say, this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
What do you think? And my mentor will never be like, yeah, it's great, you should go for it. Well, why is it there? It challenges me.
Yeah.
It makes me think. And then I start saying things out loud and hear, oh, I can't believe I was just saying this.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't believe you have this in your mind, but you never shared and not doing anything about it. So it's all those discoveries.
Yes.
I think at first we never know that there is something in us unless we allow for people to open us and see it.
So good. There's so many things amazing. What you said. I know I have to let you cook at some point, but this is too good.
I'm going to shortly start my cooking.
Start your cooking. But there's so much gold in what you said. I think in terms of the role of like your mentor or your coach, the way you were describing it, for me, it's the challenging you and seeing the possibility, like seeing what's possible for you and like your potential. Those two things together are like, they just help you see. And once you see, you can't unsee. I love the idea of that. So that I thought was really powerful about the role of the coach and the mentor. But to the point about like, what is it that makes you decide, you know what, for the first time, because once you've done it, as you had the experience, it's like, wow, this works, I'm growing, this is amazing, I want more of this, I want to keep doing it, which was my experience. Like I've had a coach for as long as I've been coaching, because once I'd experienced it, I never want to be without a coach. Like, why would I want to stop growing? But to the point about the decision to look for a coach or go to a mentor, what you said about knowing you had potential but getting stuck, for me, that is those are the sort of, I don't know if sweet spot is the right word, but those are the signs. I love to speak to people's sense that they know there's more. They know they have either more to give, more to offer. They have potential, but they don't. Something's stopping them. And I talk about the pain of unfulfilled potential, and it can be like a dull ache. It can be there all the time. It can be something that just pops up every now and then out of the blue. But it's there. It's like this little pilot light that's on, and you don't quite know how to kind of, with like a gas fire or a boiler or something, you don't quite know how to ignite the whole thing. And it's if you feel the pilot light, if you feel that little flame, you know you're capable of more. That's the moment when, like, take the leap of faith and reach out to a coach or mentor, because that's the bit that puts the kind of fuel behind it, and that's all you need to kind of open up and achieve what's possible. I mean, as you were an amazing example of.
Thank you. Exactly that. And I think we're all capable of so much more, many times than we actually think.
100%.
And having someone to trust and go to, it's priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Caroline, I'm going to start cooking.
Okay, I'm going to let you cook.
For all the people who are listening to this audio, I'm basically going to put salmon in the air fryer, and it's going to beep quite a few times. But I'm hopeful we are speaking loud enough, and the people on the podcast can hear it. But I love my air fryer. I can't live without it. I cook in air fryer all the time. And I did look for functions to turn the volume off, but it beeps, it beeps. Oh, well. What I'm doing here is putting salmon fillets. That sauce there, I'm not going to lose. I'm just going to drizzle over. Do you have air fryer?
So I'm fascinated because I have one, but I don't use it.
You don't use it.
So
Well,
inspire me. Diana.
There you go. You can cook everything in the air fryer.
Really?
Like everything.
Really?
The only time I cook in the oven is when I have big roast. So then I actually have 2 air fryers. I'm that I'm that addicted. So I cook eggs in here, scrambled eggs, anything you want. Yeah, it's clean, quick, and it's one of my favorite ways to cook. I cook potatoes here, so because it's dual, the one I have here.
Yeah,
it's easy to put vegetables in one,
great.
Meat, protein in the other. The other one I have, the bigger one, is actually steams and fries at the same time, so I can put the whole chicken in there because it's round. That's why I need another one, because I felt like in this one you have to cut the chicken in half, and it also saves the gas, uses very little energy.
Yeah,
it turns off if you forgot.
That happens.
Yeah, lots of things like that. What I'm going to do, put a little bit more olive oil. So I have selected vegetables for the color.
Yes.
So I usually select things by color. So if everything is green and I'm looking around, I'm like, need some red, maybe some yellow. That's why I selected broccoli, sweet corn, baby sweet corn, and red pepper. I'm not going to put too much salt in here as well, only because the salmon is quite salty, so it needs to balance out. So that's it. So now it's going to go in and start beeping. I'm going to set up the timers, cook at the same time. There you go. And then it will announce us a little bit later that it's heated up and it's cooking. So in the meantime, I'll be checking back and forth because I want specific color. So the salmon needs to be quite blackened, but it's not burned.
Okay.
The blackened bit is the soy sauce, the marinade that goes darker, and that creates a bit more different level of flavors. Yeah, I'm if you just do less and it's less black, it gives you another flavor. So it's fine, whichever
Yes, we're going to get flavor no matter what. Perfect.
Flavor.
Perfect.
I'm going to prepare our cucumber salad in a moment. I'm going to read the message and prepare the cucumber salad in the meantime. That's why I'm going to tell you what ingredients I have. The parsley is from my garden. I don't want it to dry, so that's why it's sitting in the little water. So for cucumber salad, spring onions also from my garden outside. I'm growing a few vegetables, so I love it. We have lime juice here, I just squeezed earlier. So coconut milk. So when you open a can of coconut milk, there is like a thicker milky bit and more liquid, and usually you shake it and it blends it all together. So I've taken the milkier bit and a bit of the liquid bit and mixed it up. The reason I did that because the yogurts in supermarket, which are coconut yogurts, they're quite sweet.
Yes.
A little bit on the sweet side that you wouldn't want necessarily to put them in a salad. However, the funny thing, I also don't put some honey.
Okay.
Because the salmon is a little bit salty, kind of savory. So by putting all these ingredients in there, it's just you will see what I mean. It's hard to describe.
I trust you.
So whilst I'm setting all this together, it's just putting all things together and mixing. I'm going to read your second message.
Okay.
You are uniquely valuable.
Oh.
It's like you're surprised.
I know.
You wasn't sure which one I'm going to read first.
I know. Well, I was also, when you asked me, as you of course did, like what are the messages I would want to share, I had so many. So I then had to, of course, select them. Be the first was always going to be the first. So you are uniquely valuable. You'll see there's a common thread here. It all speaks to how you think about yourself and the importance of how you think about yourself, how that feeds everything you do, how it shows up in everything you do. It shows up in your conversations, it shows up in your relationships, it shows up in your work performance. And too often I work with or I meet people who question their value. Either they question their value completely and like this end of the one end of the spectrum where question their value, am I worthy, am I enough? So I do a lot of work around imposter syndrome. I've talked about that. So in Be the First, the book I wrote, it was very much about the experience of imposter syndrome, particularly in people of colour. So I've worked for a number of years with people around imposter syndrome and really studied it and learned to understand it because of having experienced it myself. So at that end of the spectrum, what underlies that is really a questioning of your value, either generally as a person, as it can present itself, or as I often see with my community, when they're in a particular environment. So a client, for example, when they're at home, and some of your listeners may relate to this, when they're at home or they're with their friends, with their family, they're outgoing, they're gregarious, they feel so comfortable, they feel like themselves, but then that same person in a work environment can be completely withdrawn, doesn't speak up, is afraid to seize an opportunity because they don't think they're qualified or they're only 95% qualified. This happens a lot with women. And that's all the questioning. It's like, am I enough? Am I good enough? Am I valuable? That's really what the question is. So I remind my clients, I remind myself, it's a message that I intentionally practice for myself, and that is, I am uniquely valuable. And everybody who's listening or hears this, and you yourself as well, if you think about that and properly ask yourself how this is true, you would come up with so many reasons, so much compelling evidence for why there's no one else like you. You're one of a kind. Like how you are right now has never happened before, will never happen again. Like your unique combination of experiences, of childhood, of challenges that you've overcome, of achievements, and even of your vision, like bringing all of that together, that all existing in you, that is unique. There is no other version of that. And in being so unique, that's also its value, right? So you are uniquely valuable. I am uniquely valuable is that reminder, like to remember who you are. Remember all of the things that feed into who you are and how you show up, and see the value of that. We would value, or we do value, an antique, like a unique piece of jewelry, or an original edition of a book, an antique book that there's only one copy left of. Like everything else, when there's only one of it, we see as more valuable, we value it more highly, we would pay more for it.
Yeah.
And so, like, how are we any different? We are no different. So one of the most rewarding things about what I do is to help my clients to see that about them.
Absolutely fascinating. Actually, I was, as I was listening, to me, it came, there are two really powerful words in there, because you can say you are uniquely valuable, or you can say you are uniquely valuable. So it's actually you are two. You're not just unique.
Yes.
You are unique and valuable.
Yeah.
And by being valuable and unique, you're unique and valuable. Yeah. Is extremely powerful. Like you say, like one little line, but makes you think double almost.
Yeah.
I'm unique, but being unique, I'm also valuable.
Right. Yeah.
It's not just I'm unique.
Right.
It needs to have that other element.
Yeah. So. Both of those things are essential. And if you think about, and they it's a loop, right? Because they feed into each other, and the value comes from the uniqueness, right?
Yeah.
If you think about, particularly in the context of my clients, I talk a lot about being in the room. It's like that visual of their experience. If you have 100 people in a room who all look the same, who've all had the same or similar work, like life experience, education. They all went to the same type of university or the same type of school, from the similar types of backgrounds, and what my client would perceive as being all the same, and I'm different. Then to add another person like that to the room doesn't change the value level of the room.
No.
It's more of the same. Put you in the room and how you are unique, the diversity you bring to the room, suddenly the value of that room has shot up just by you being in the room. So one of the thoughts I love to offer my clients, and I have for myself, is I add value to the room just being in the room, because I'm unique. Being in a room where there's so much similarity and commonality, which is my client's experience, me just being there makes me valuable. Again, completely changes how you feel about yourself in the room, and therefore what you are able to do.
It's absolutely fascinating because, again, I was just imagining as well, if I actually had these empowering thoughts that I am unique and who I am is valuable and adds to something, again, it changes perspective straight away, the same way as in the first message.
Yeah.
And I think this should be actually, I love this message, by the way, so much, because I can say the same to my son from this day and age. From his 5 years old, I can say, you are unique, you are valuable, or you are uniquely valuable.
Yeah.
As it's probably something I'm going to take and mention to him, because every morning when I drive him to school, we do this little thing. So I see him in the mirror, and he sits at the back, and I say, repeat after me. I am smart. I am smart. I am fun. I am funny. I am kind. And he keeps repeating.
Amazing.
He keeps repeating. And he says, I'm amazing. I'm enjoying this day. I am happy. I am Luciano. And then we do this, woo, woo, woo. And he's like, woo, woo.
Wow.
You know, whilst he's repeating and he's not understanding necessarily why I'm saying and what it is. But I think I'm feeling like I'm subconsciously putting those thoughts in there. And I really focus not to say, I am awesome, I'm smart, I'm amazing. And to kind of keep him growing up feeling like this. I'm almost saying, and then counteracting with, I am kind, I am caring, I am humble, and all these little things. So just to put into picture what kind of person you are today, you know. And I am happy is so important, and I am uniquely valuable is going to be my other one.
You can add it. I'm so excited
because he's different. Yeah, everyone is different. All his friends at school are different. You can see the differences, how unique and how valuable they all are, because the way they work together. So I know I picked up 5-year-olds in their group, but there was one quieter, one more loud, one shy, one outgoing, introvert, extrovert, right? So it makes such a great combination, and that's why they have so much fun together.
That's amazing.
Because if they all were the same, you wouldn't notice, you wouldn't stand out. So you need to be uniquely different, uniquely valuable and different, I think. And it's not even you need to be, you are. We are.
Yeah. I love that, Diana. It is that recognition, and it's integral to I'm uniquely valuable, is, and so are you, and so are you, and so are you. Like, we can all be, or we all are uniquely valuable. It creates so much respect also for those around us. And I think your ability to see that in yourself frees you up to see it in other people. And can I just say, it almost makes me cry to think of you driving, is it Luciano?
Luciano.
To school, and you helping him, like, as a child, they have so many thoughts to choose from as they go through the world. There are the thoughts that teachers offer them, comments about their work or who they are, the comments that other kids make to each other. We're offered all day long all of these thoughts to think, not realizing quite how important they are, the ones that we choose, and how they can stay with us for life, for years. And I work with so many clients who are carrying around sentences that somebody said to them long ago, which have made them question themselves, that haunt them still. So that you are there, and Luciano's starting his day at school with these beautiful thoughts that are true about him, but helping him to see them and choose them, is amazing.
Thank you.
I love that you recognize the value of that. Like, as a parent, I don't think there's anything more, other than physically them being safe. Like, I don't think there's anything better, any greater gift that you could give your child. No amount of money or material things or comfort or anything could replace that. I think it's extraordinary.
I agree, because I think I do the same to myself.
Yeah.
When I wake up and
Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to, because sometimes you wake up and not feeling right, not feeling good, maybe sad or maybe anxious, anything, right? All the normal human feelings come flooding at you, and no, I am Diana.
Yeah.
Why do this? No, I kind of like give myself little questions and answers.
Yeah.
And quite instantly I feel better, because I know it's just a feeling, it's just a thought, and I can easily flip it and change it to be totally different. Yeah. And he will reach a certain age where I can explain to him why I was doing this.
Yeah.
But it won't be too late. It's never too late really to start, but it will have so much more meaning because he's been doing that.
Yes.
It's almost like a practicing something already.
Yeah.
Then it will click one day. I know it will click, and it will connect to his heart. Maybe now it's just a playful thing in the car.
Yeah.
I know it will click one day.
Yeah, and I don't think it will take very long. I think children, in my experience, so I have 4 boys, as you know, and I always think they're about to do something or work something out, and they've already done it. So I feel like I'm always a little bit a step behind where they are. I'm expecting it to take another week, for example, before they need a new pair of shoes, or they need to understand this about life, and it turns out they already know. Or
we underestimate how smart they are, right? Because we think they're children, but actually, so smart.
Yeah, they're so smart. So I think he will definitely realize that sooner. And this is really key, is as well as the fact that reinforcing how he thinks about himself. The point is this: he will grow into that. He will believe it. That's how he will see himself, and therefore he will be more of that. There's so many negative, because it also sadly works for the negative thoughts and messages we receive. And those are the ones, sometimes people grow into those negative thoughts too. So he will be able to track as he looks back and he sees evidence, like outside, like material evidence of how smart he is, how kind he is, how caring he is, how great he is. Yeah. He'll be able to trace that back to you also telling him that, him learning that.
I think so. So thank you for that second message.
You're welcome.
I've added to my little basket of goodies, thoughts.
I love it.
Caroline,
yes,
I'm going to start slowly assembling your salad, because can you smell?
There is some amazing smells.
The audience can't smell, but it's charcoaly kind of miso, soy, but you couldn't put together those 2 ingredients, but it does have that sweetness.
It's beautiful. I can smell the balance of the soy and the sort of, it's probably not caramel, but the sweetness. It smells absolutely amazing.
Well, it's literally about to come out. So what I'm going to do, I know there is a third message. I'm buzzing. I feel like you should have brought 6 messages, and we have 2-hour episode.
Then we'd have to have like 5.
I know
courses.
You have a few more, so a few more messages.
These are the main ones. These are the main ones.
So buckwheat, the humble ingredient of Lithuania. We eat buckwheat. Buckwheat actually in Lithuania used to be poor people's food. Okay. The only reason I say that, because you would get that in hospitals with meatballs, let's say. I would eat this pretty much all the time, every single week, buckwheat. Right. And you can make buckwheat with anything. I mean, I used to eat with bacon and onions and just fry it on the pan. It's just totally basic, simple ingredients that you can find in Lithuania. It was really easy.
Yeah. What would be the equivalent of buckwheat? Because I don't think I probably had it in a salad that I bought in a restaurant, but what would be the equivalent in the UK? Is it?
Well, they have buckwheat, but they don't have toasted. They have toasted in Whole Foods.
Okay.
So I decided to go to get some buckwheats, and I looked everywhere in supermarkets. I couldn't find. I went to Whole Foods, and there was. I'm not kidding. Maybe this was 7 years ago. I don't know if that's the case now, but for 100 grams was £5, and I thought, what? A little bit confusing. It's toasted, more expensive than the untoasted one. Untoasted doesn't really taste good. It gets all mushy. I don't know. It needs to be really lightly cooked, but I haven't experimented. I prefer the toasted flavor. Yeah. Anyway, I was like, well, I need like 200, 300 grams. It's £15 for buckwheat. I grew up eating this. Is the cheapest thing you can get for €1, a half a kilo.
Wow.
In Lithuanian, or for £1. And I was like, okay. And then the same with kefir, for example, used to be very expensive. Here now it's in supermarkets more kind of common. But before I was like, kefir, it's like, again, you take a milk and make it kind of rotten, basically.
Yes.
You rot it. And it's so expensive. In Lithuania, we just make it yourself.
Wow.
And so all these humble ingredients in Lithuania, in here, was for like foodies, whole foods, for people who really pay attention to their diet. So I don't know, it's probably maybe changed a little bit, but I put here olive oil and some salt and some Italian herbs. You can put anything in there.
Wonderful.
Now, black rice, it's got all sorts of, I don't know if you know, but it's like anti-cancer and various antioxidants in there. I don't use it often, but after testing for your meal, I think it's going to be one of my main ingredients now. Except that when I cooked it and splashed somewhere, it just dyed my whole counter. And my nails were dark because I was washing them. I was like,
it's really strong, inky kind of effect, isn't it?
I've got here a little bit of, because I just love it, artichoke.
Oh,
yeah, I just
lovely.
think it's from the jar, artichoke in oil, simple as that. But I just absolutely love the flavor because it adds acidity. And for me, I need all sorts of little bits and pieces going on. Right, that's done. There, it looks almost burned, but it's not burned.
That looks amazing.
It has to be that way. And then vegetables.
How long was that you cooked that for?
Probably 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so not too long. And then again, you can keep on checking and seeing how you like it. And you can taste this and see, maybe you like a bit less or maybe a bit more. It depends. But it stays juicy because it wasn't marinated for quite some time. Okay. So it just stays still juicy, doesn't dry out.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. I think sometimes if we overdo things in air fryer, it could dry it out. It
dries, yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read your third message, and I'm going to remove the skin and just assemble everything. But let's hear the third one.
I can't wait to hear what the third message was.
Because you have so many, right? And you all
live them.
Also,
I probably sent them to you a while ago as well.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, which ones did I choose?
You see, totally unscripted, totally unprepared. She has no idea.
I have no idea.
I actually have my one here. It's not even Caroline's.
Let's see what she does with it. Yes.
The conditions are never perfect.
Wow. Is that what I chose? I'm so glad I chose that. Okay.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. This is the one that, do people cry on your show?
I got teary. I get goosebumps. Yeah, I get a bit emotional. So
yes, there might be some emotion here. So this is, I'm going to call this an old favorite. And an old favorite thought. So I've been talking a lot about thoughts and how they're just sentences in our brain, but when we pay attention to them, we realize, and I learned that when you pay attention to your thoughts, you realize quite how much they create your emotions. So it's what you're thinking that makes you feel a certain way. And then from that feeling is how you then show up, how you act, and the decisions you make or don't make, the things you do or don't do. And in perhaps my first year as a coach, I understood that there had been a thought that I had carried around with me for years that had helped me overcome all the biggest challenges that I'd experienced in my childhood to get where I was. So by way of an example, and I think where it's most prominent for me was I was at an all-white school. I went to a grammar school, and I didn't know at the time so my parents hadn't been to university. It wasn't from, my background was kind of quite messy, let's call it that. So I didn't grow up with my mum. I was at boarding school from the age of 5, which was very challenging, just in terms of, and also the only black pupil in that school. So there were a lot of challenges just from that perspective. But I did well in that school, and I went on to a grammar school where I was also the only black pupil there. But I did well, and one of my teachers saw potential in me and said, "Caroline, I think we need to talk about your future. Where are you going to university?" And at the time, what he didn't know, and most of my friends didn't know, is I was living at home with my brother. So my brother, who I saw this morning, I was telling you about, we were living together and trying to make ends meet. I was 16, he was 17, and it was quite a challenge at that time, being on our own, and we'd been on our own for a number of years. And And we were about to get evicted from a council flat. So we were about to be made homeless. And we've been receiving these letters and had only a number of weeks. And honestly, the last thing on my mind was like, oh, how should I go to university? It's so interesting because I have two of my eldest, two of my boys, well, one of them's just finished a couple of weeks ago, university, and my second son has just done his first year, and it fills me with pride that university for them was just a normal, it was a given, they were going to go there. But for me, it was really different. So when my history teacher saw this in me, I was like, I really don't know, haven't thought about it. And he's like, I think you need to be applying to Oxbridge. I think you have this potential. And I was like appalled and outraged. I just thought, that's setting me up for failure. Like, why would I? I was really resistant. And in the end, he talked me into it. He said, that's a terrible excuse. You need to go for it. And I ended up getting an offer from Cambridge. And a few weeks before my A-levels, we were evicted fully. And so I was homeless. My brother moved in with a girlfriend. And I wasn't on the streets. I was like sleeping on couches. I stayed with some friends. It was really, really hard to be 17 and what felt like the biggest opportunity of my life and have no family support and no security. It's really, really challenging. And I remember thinking to myself, well, like, what am I going to do? Wait till everything's perfect? Like, I just have to go for it now. The opportunity's there. So staying at friends' houses, I just went for it. And so I got my A-levels, I got my grades, despite us being brutally evicted from this place, me and my brother, and all of the stuff going on at home. And we made it to Cambridge. I made it to Cambridge. And Cambridge was hard, and I made it through. And getting a job was hard, because I wanted to be a lawyer, but I got my lawyer job. So what I have is a track record of having succeeded in difficult conditions, when the conditions were just far from perfect. And it became a mantra of mine. The conditions are never perfect. And as soon as I am in acceptance of that, then there's no waiting for things outside of me to change, no waiting for things to be better. Before I just go for it, before I just try, before I'm willing to give it my best shot. Like, it doesn't, not only will the conditions like never be perfect, they don't have to be. They don't have to be perfect. There can be enough. What I bring can be enough. And so I've developed this wonderful, I have now this track record and evidence of being able to achieve my goals and have the success I've had so far. And it's also what I teach and coach my clients on in really imperfect conditions. And you could say that being the only one in the room, like a lot of people feel like that's like far from perfect when I'm the only one. So it feeds into my overall message generally of being the first, of being uniquely valuable. It's like the conditions you find yourself, it may not be diverse, it may not be inclusive, you may even experience racism, you may question your right to be there, and you can still succeed.
You touched my heart. Thank you so much. This was the perfect message to end, because all of these three I could relate, and that's why you're here, because you talk from your experience. And thank you so much for being so honest and vulnerable and sharing such a difficult time in your life. And again, I have just learned something as well about how I lived my life as well. I never had anything perfect, far from perfect, but I kept on thriving and going, and I could see that in you as well, and how you were just going with that kind of strength in you, knowing that there are so many other things going on in life, but still going for something that actually is amazing for you. And it's really hard because sometimes you get overwhelmed and you don't want to do any of it. So again, I was visualizing you doing it, because I'm a very visual person. So I imagine you being on the sofa, and imagine how you're thankful to your teacher as well for pushing you. And
hugely,
because when we don't have that support, when that encouragement, or someone telling you you're amazing, and yes, you're struggling, but it's okay, because you're doing this and you will not struggle one day. All of these little things that we want to hear, and it's not enough when we tell to ourselves. You didn't have that. So the strength in you, the power in you, and that's why you're so inspirational, and that's why you're here.
Thank you.
Because I saw that, I could see that, and obviously you just brought so much more than I've met in you the time I met you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
And
you
I
for
was
having
feeling
me.
your emotion.
Oh yeah, that was quite emotional in the best possible way.
So hopefully this little bowl will nourish you.
Wow, I cannot wait. I'm so hungry now, I can smell it.
It looks very simple, but all the flavors added together, I think will I hope will tick the boxes of what you wanted from today's meal. So Caroline, enjoy. I cooked with so much love for the lovely lady that you are. Thank you so much for being here.
Received with love. Thank you for having me. And this is an absolute delight and treat. It's my perfect meal. So healthy, so tasty, lots of flavor, lots of color. Thank you. It's been unforgettable. Really such a pleasure.
Likewise, Caroline. And for all the people who've been watching us today, I was relating to so many of messages, and I know Caroline was relaying her experiences, but to me, be the first, uniquely valuable, and also conditions are never perfect are the top 3 that will add to my toolbox, of life. And I will be sharing them with my son. So hopefully you can relate as well and take away some of these wonderful messages. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.